Good evening and welcome to Bizworld. Research firms are bullish on Malaysia's economic outlook for the second half of this year, based on significant improvements in the country's recovery momentum in the second quarter. According to Public Investment Bank, economic activities are expected to remain steady amid dissipating pressures from supply chain disruptions and global inflation. It added that domestic demand is expected to remain firm, underpinned by improved consumption spending, higher tourist arrivals, and continued recovery in labour market conditions and income prospects. Besides that, AmBank Research also expects the country to record positive growth in the second quarter, partly supported by the low base of negative 0.4% in the second half of last year. It also foresees the economy to continue benefiting from strong export earnings backed by firm commodity prices, a still healthy global semiconductor environment, resource-based exports, and foreign direct investment inflows. Malaysia's semiconductor industry, which takes up 13% of global chip assembly and testing market share, is set to benefit from the United States Chips and Science Act. The act, which creates incentives to produce semiconductors, commits over $280 billion in federal funding. Under the act, which was signed last week, the US is expected to build state-of-the-art chip fabrication fab plants with process technology of 7 nanometers or below. According to Malaysia Conductor Industry Association, MSIA, if the Americans build more leading-edge fabs like this, they will need more assembly and testing services as the current capacity is insufficient. From that perspective, Malaysia would benefit, as it is still one of the most attractive and competitive places for investment compared with other Southeast Asian countries. Hence, the industry hopes the government could incentivize companies in Malaysia to help them grow in order to compete with its Southeast Asian peers. The government is also urged to make efforts to attract more fab investments into Malaysia, as many firms had started to design integrated circuits. Foreign funds maintained their net buying stance on Bursa Malaysia for the fourth consecutive week, which saw a net inflow of 451.7 million ringgit. According to MIDF research, this was 16.4% higher than the 388.21 million ringgit of net buying in the previous week. Foreign funds net buying started on Monday and Tuesday, amounting to 530,000 ringgit and 15.8 million ringgit respectively. The bulk of the net buying happened on Thursday and Friday at 232.9 million ringgit and 206.2 million ringgit respectively, after the release of lower than expected US inflation data. It was also driven by stronger than expected Malaysia GDP data. Meanwhile, local institutions continued to be net sellers at a rate of minus 573 million ringgit.
Dua belas pasukan berentap demi menjulang Piala Idaman. Kami bawakan kepada anda perlawanan tumpuan Liga Super 2022. Hanya di TV 9 dan Astro 149.
TNB Power Generation Sdn Bhd spends over 100 million ringgit every year to maintain its hydroelectric power plants. Its Chief Operating Officer, Dato' Engineer Roslan Abdul Rahman, said this is due to the sedimentation accumulated in the dams from development projects, as well as improper domestic waste disposals due to agricultural and logging activities.
Jadi kalau kita tidak melakukan kerja-kerja senggaraan ini, tahap kapasiti empangan kita akan berkurangan dan ia akan memberikan kesan dari segi takungan air dan juga akan menyebabkan limpahan sekiranya tidak ditangani dengan betul.
He was speaking to reporters at a media visit of TNB Genco's hydroelectric power stations in Cameron Highlands recently. The 4 hydroelectric plants in Cameron Highlands amounted to the highest cost of 40 million ringgit, with an increase of up to 10% every year. As such, collaborations with the authorities is much needed to spread awareness to protect areas surrounding these dams. And that's it for Bizworld this time around. With that, I'm Raymond. Thank you for investing your time with us, and make sure you stay tuned to TV3.